بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مدد شيخ دستور يا سيدي وليش الناس الدستور وليش محمد آل الدستور وليش الشيخ يوسف الدستور وليش الشام الدستور. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته everyone. Sheikh Shamil has asked me to speak on this experiment that we are busy doing, and it's an experiment that basically connects spirituality with science and basically proves the reality of dhikr. And Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Shamil discussed the results of the experiment with Sheikh Mehmet Nazim in Turkey, and Sheikh Mehmet Nazim is very pleased with it and he wants us to continue with it and he wants to see a write-up of it. So let's start maybe collating and gathering all the data. And so, just a brief background on what's relevant to the experiment. I studied mechanical engineering and worked in that field for 8 years now. And now currently studying renewable energy, which is a field where we're trying to access the energy of the heavens and turn that into electricity. So it's relevant to the experiment we're going to speak about now. And in previous experiences walking on this path, we have experienced many spiritual experiences. But those experiences could only be related or narrated verbally. There's no proof of did you actually experience that experience. So I just want to narrate two experiences that is relevant to this experiment. The one was when we went to Shadi Hadra once, and Alhamdulillah Sheikh Abu Hazara was present there. And this Hadra, we were holding hands and reciting dhikr. And as the Hadra continued, the dhikr became very powerful. And the energy of the dhikr became more and more. And the energy started flowing. And as if I could feel this energy flowing through my body. And it became so strong and so powerful that my entire body started pulling stiff. Every muscle started pulling tight. And my teeth started clenching, my toes started gripping, and as if I was experiencing an electrical shock. It became so powerful to a point where it felt as if, I'm saying it did happen, but as if my soul had completely left my body, because felt that I wasn't contained within a body anymore, just everywhere. So through this experience, I felt an increase of energy as the dhikr went on. And to such an extent where we went into that state of spiritual ecstasy. And the second experience that is relevant to the experiment we're doing now is that, so in that case we were verbally making dhikr and energy was increasing. So in this second experience, I was just thinking out. It was in a transition period where I was going from teenager to going on to this path, and I thought in my mind that there must be something more than all these things that I was doing as a teenager. There must be more to life, and all these things weren't giving me joy. And I was like, Ya Allah, show me the reality of life. Show me, Ya Allah, show me you. And this thought was flowing through my mind. It was nothing verbally said. But as I was thinking these thoughts, I began feeling the exact same feeling. This power flowing through my body, all my every muscle in my body contracting. And my body naturally just went into sujood. And I started feeling this very warmth. So this energy, warm energy. And this electrical energy that was pulling my muscles tight. And again, experienced this soul leaving the body. And so that was experiences in the past, it was there. And recently when we started studying batteries and energy, how energy transforms first from one form to another, and how we can store this energy in batteries, and how we can take this energy from batteries and then put it into devices to power these devices. We thought to ourselves that can we actually measure that energy that's being generated? So the question is, where is that energy coming from? That's the question. Because you're feeling an increase in energy, an increase in power, and it just goes up and up and up. Where is the energy coming from? If you look at an electron swirling around an atom, if you apply energy to it, it goes to a higher energy level. You apply more energy to it, it goes to a higher energy level. Can we put so much energy, activation energy, that the electron leaves the atom completely? So the same concept applies. So for that to happen, we have to apply energy to it. So which means, where is the energy coming from? That was the question we had. So then we met on the long path, met Sheikh Yusuf da Costa and Sheikh Nazim and Rahmatullahi alayhi, and then the great love story began. And Sheikh Yusuf, we once standing in the Hadra with Sheikh Yusuf, and he said, what's going to happen now is that energy is going to come from the heavens vertically into your hearts. And then he said, energy will then flow rotationally through the hearts. And here Sheikh Yusuf started now verbally speaking about what I had experienced. And then Sheikh Nazim would say that when we are making dhikr, we are collecting power into our souls. So this concept which we experience now, the shuyukh started speaking about verbally, and we started to understand what is actually happening. Sheikh Yusuf was saying we are pulling energy from the heavens. We are pulling energy from the heavens. So the energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change from one form to another. So can it change from that spiritual energy into another form? Can it change it into electrical energy, which we were experiencing? Can it change to heat energy, which we were experiencing? So to answer this question, we took a multimeter which can measure voltage, can measure current, can measure resistance, and we created these electrodes which the members of the gathering can hold in their hands, and we can actually measure. So we actually measured at different parts of the body, and we didn't find anything. But when we put the device into the palms, we got a reading, which means that the energy comes in and out through the palms. So we think about, when we make dua, we raise our palms to the heavens. When we take someone's hand, we connect in the palms. When we say hadra, we connect in the palms. So that's the first thing we found out, that the energy is flowing through the palms. So when we went back to the Shanti Hadra, where we first experienced this electrical feeling, and we actually put the electrodes into certain murids' hands, and then we had wires running out connected to a voltmeter. And as the dhikr went on, even before they started holding hands, we started reading a voltage increase. So the important thing to understand is that it was a base voltage, original voltage of 10 millivolts, and it only goes up once the dhikr starts. Always goes up, and we mention this over and over and over. It's like fact now. Every time the dhikr starts, the voltage goes up. Right? So before they even started holding hands, they started reciting La ilaha illallah. But it was so powerful that the voltage went up already to about 200 millivolts. Just through La ilaha illallah, chanting La ilaha illallah. And then they started holding hands, and the hadra started. Allah, 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 Allah. The dhikr started. And we saw the voltage starting going up, up, up. And it doesn't go down. Once the dhikr starts, it sustains at that level, and it only goes up, up, up. I think 300 millivolts, just going higher and higher and higher. And the amazing, ajeeb thing was that the highest point was experienced during salawat. And that's what we experienced over and over and over. The things we were saying, we experienced a number of times. The highest energy was read during salawat. And so, we try to measure current. So current means that there's actually energy flowing through the gathering. And we put the multimeter on the current, and lo and behold, we saw a current, which means that there was energy flowing through the gathering. And it started off with 1, this was microamp, and then up to 2, and up to 3. We were just going higher and higher, just going higher and higher. And if you measure anybody's current, you will, right, like now before the dhikr, you will find no current on anybody. No one will have a current. It's only during the dhikr that the energy is flowing, which means that what Sheikh Yusuf said, the energy is flowing rotationally through the hands. And one murid, when you do such a sacred exercise, he just left the hands. He just broke the connection. And we saw on the multimeter, the current level went down. Which means that the second thing we found that in the hadra, there must be a continuous connection of hands. It's something like wires connecting light bulbs. Wires connecting light bulbs. If you break the connection, the current will stop flowing. That's what we found. So at the hadra, there must be a continuous holding of hands. And so the most amazing thing was, I just get more and more amazing. At the end of the dhikr, there was one guy sitting there who was holding the electrodes, and we were measuring his voltage and his current. And his voltage and his current individually was greater than the voltage and the current of the gathering, which means he's going home with that energy. Which means when we leave any dhikr, we are going home with that energy. Even in 5 minutes, so even greater than the energy of the gathering. So what we went beyond what we measured in the gathering was about 10 micrograms. His reading was beyond 10 micrograms. His voltage was beyond 300. And again, we found that we went to the Abibia, the last mass dhikr. We found that another thing was when the dhikr feels joyful, the reading goes up. It was like spot on every time. When you feel the dhikr is joyful, when you feel that energy, we get the reading, the voltage goes up. So we found this, the groups recited, when the dhikr felt good, energy went up. But beyond the reading we found in the gathering was the reading in the hadra. Hadra is always higher than the individual, when we sit individually. And at that gathering again, we found that after the gathering, I think Muhammad was holding the electrodes, and his current was beyond the current of the gathering. His voltage was beyond the voltage of the gathering. Which means he's going to go home with that energy, he's going home with that barakah. So, and what's interesting was Muhammad actually put his hands over Muhammad Nur's hands, and the current doubled up. And the last gathering we went to, Cape Academy, what we found there was that the dhikr wasn't feeling as powerful as it usually felt. And you could see that the student was unfamiliar with dhikr. And the voltage wasn't as high. So again, the feeling, what feeling you feel, that's exactly, correlates directly with that. So what we found was that we actually measured the resistance of the gathering. And the resistance of the gathering was the highest we ever found it to be. It was like in its 50s. Like the other day we measured our user resistance was 2 minus 1. And in that gathering it was like 50. So it means it's actually a resistance. And the resistance went down, the voltage went up. SubhanAllah. So I think that and after that gathering, one brother actually came to us, a non-Muslim, and he said he has explored all the religions and he has found no religion so linked to science. And he started explaining. Eventually he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And subhanAllah, we saw the effect of what this science experiment could have on the world. This is basically saying that the remembrance of Allah is connecting you to a higher source. Like looking at this, like he built a machine that actually connects us to the ether, he called it. And he was pulling what he's calling unlimited energy supply. So here when we make it, we can be connected to this power source. But what is the source of all this power? Which means it's hard that we are connecting to the source of all this power, we're connecting to Allah. Why is it that when we're reciting salawat, the energy is fighting? When we say Muhammad, we are connecting to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So all of these things are coming out through scientific experiments. And the last one is, we went to a mazar, and we went to go, before we went to give da'wah, we went to go greet the mazar, and just put both hands flat on to greet. And immediately when we started greeting, this power started flowing through. And when we get the balcony, we found the voltage reading. This is the awliya right there, and we're getting an energy reading. SubhanAllah. So there's many conclusions you can draw, but I just want to mention those facts. And time is almost up. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us in this experiment. And Allah grants more people to embrace Islam. Amen. As a result of this. Alhamdulillah, after that first person came, a second person also came. And he said, I was so amazed by this. The conversation went and the conversation ended. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So many more ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and many more shahadas as a result of this experiment proving the haqq of dhikr. And may our belief in what we are coming in, our belief must be we are connected to that source. When we are making this dhikr, we are connected to that source, we must believe it. And Allah grant if we have resistance in our resistance to come down, so we can experience the true power of what we're actually reciting, and we can experience the true power of the hadra, the true power of the awliya. Allah grant us with the blessings and the secret of Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Rabbi ighfir lana wa liwarhamna. Subhana rabbika rabbil 'izzati 'amma yasifun. Wa salamun 'alal mursalin. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Shukran for that very inspiring talk by Ridha. I just want to ask Ridha something regarding the talk. When we were still studying first year, we did depolarization of muscles. So we do have an innate born of natural electricity in ourselves. So sometimes we do touch a surface, we get a shock. That is part of it. So when we do the putting the electrodes on the gathering and then we must have a baseline gathering. I mean a baseline reading, so that we can see what the baseline is, and we can then see what the effect of the dhikr is on the baseline. So we
always measure the baseline before we start the gathering. So we measure our own, and it's always very low. So there's always a baseline, and every single dhikr voltage goes up. Every single dhikr, every single dhikr, the current goes up. There's always a base. Because it's proof that we are pulling in energy.
I'm sweating from the electrical energy. So like